Welcome, my name is Andrew Mackay, writer, director and editor of A Contour State of Mind, and this little bonus extra on the DVD is really to address a few questions that people have been asking about the movie, as well as to show you the premiere of the movie that will be added on at the end. I first got the idea for the film when I got bored and was just playing around with my editing program. I imported some footage from a documentary I've been filming and just played around with the effects, and that's where I found the contour effect, the proper term for those coloured lines you see all around objects on screen which have a very definite shape. Kind of look weird and funky, almost like something you'd see in a nightmare. So I tried slowing down the footage and repeating some of the sounds the way I thought it was. If the picture looked weird, the sound should look weird as well, or sound weird, sort of skirting the very fine line between audible and just plain odd. And that was the next phase of the process. I thought it would be interesting to make a film, a short one, entirely with this effect, because it looked nightmarish. It made sense to go with a nightmare context. And because I was in a nightmare context, I'd automatically gained a license to come up with a story that would suit a mind gone mad. In other words, the way the mind behaves once you're asleep. So, with the context and technique, all I needed was a story. I've always been a believer of selling your film in one sentence, a sort of slug line, if you will. I was sat at my desk thinking to myself and suddenly came up with this fantastic slug line. Boy meets girl in a venereal disease clinic. I mean, it's brilliant. Who wouldn't want to go and see that?
Is that your name? Vaz? Vaz? Yes. Pleased to meet you. My name is Clicks. Clicks. I have AIDS.
Then pretty much the rest of the story followed suit. The idea was to keep this story relatively simple so that everything else can be treated in a complicated fashion without distracting or alienating the audience.
There's no easy way to say this, but it appears that you have AIDS. 2. AIDS 2. Yes. It's a rare sexually transmitted disease that rebuilds the immune system.
So you have boy meets girl, boy needs girl, girl's got boyfriend, boyfriend's jealous, boy kills boyfriend, etc., etc. It's almost as if you're perverting the course of a normal everyday blockbuster rom-com. I suppose that's exactly what this is. I'm sorry to say the rest of the story and the additional bits, such as the infamous cock bit and others, just followed on with my adding a sprinkling of controversy and sick-mindedness. But controversial it certainly was. If it wasn't that, it was certainly interesting. The technique I used was basically this. First you need a piece of footage, so we'll take this piece here. This is a piece of original footage that we shot.
Action.
Do you like it when I do it like this?
Yeah, that feels good.
So you can see it's relatively well lit, and it's kind of short. Also notice that the actors just acted normally when they were filming, nothing was slowed down. Okay, so we add the contour effect, nothing fancy here really, it's just an effect within the editing program. So there you go. Now straight away we can see that it's worked, but more importantly, within contour you can choose which direction you like the contour to be facing. So if I rewind the clip and start the contour at point 1 and end the clip at point 100, you can see that now that the contour effect kind of windscreen wipes throughout the duration of the clip. Now that the contour effect is set correctly, showing the right amount of detail that you want, now it's time to slow the footage down. I kept the footage slowed down right the way through the movie by about 30% of its original normal speed.
Action. Do you like it when I do it like this? Yeah, that feels good.
And you can see when you do that the voices aren't quite right. They're somewhere between right and not right. Just a little bit too much to be considered normal, but yet not nearly as weird as it could be. So finally, the last thing that you do in this process is, I suppose, add some music. All the music for this film by Neil Myers was inspired by industry, action and communication. So let's watch the clip again with the sound and the music intact.
Do you like it when I do it like this? Yeah, that feels good. Do you know how I caught my disease? No. My boyfriend killed me on purpose.
Okay, so that's basically the technique. And once I applied everything story-wise to that technique, I ended up with the film. And what I eventually ended up with was a short film that no one had really ever seen before, deliberately getting every element wrong, or perverting it with a very absurd story ethic seemed to get a very polarised response. You've probably watched the movie by this point, and I'm guessing that you've already formed your own opinion as well. But on Sunday, November 19th, 2006, the 70-plus people in attendance at the premiere of the film certainly had their own opinions. Welcome to the Curzon Cinema in Soho, Sunday 19th of November, and today we're going to be showing the world of films.
I'm Mark Reeves, the director of the first film, Shortcuts, a short 15-minute black and white film which is a postmodern take on Little Red Riding Hood story, with a sort of twist in the tale.
And my one is the second one being shown, called A Contour State of Mind, and I'm not quite sure how to articulate this film. It's just very strange.
I hope to offend. Yeah.
And it will certainly offend some people, if not everyone, and I expect half of, or maybe everyone, to leave at some point. So it's just as well we're showing that one last.
Mine's probably less offensive, but hopefully none the worse for that. But quite nervous because people are going to be watching this thing, so it's the first time it's been aired to, well, hopefully a few people in a collective audience. But yeah, we shall see.
Yes, and it's the first time either of us have actually had the film on in a cinema screen, so to see it in its new environment rather than just on DVD at home, we'll be seeing it on the cinema screen in loud surround sound stereo, and it's really just a showcase for both of us, because we both produced the shorts, but one of us wrote, directed and edited one, and the other did the other, so it's really a showcase, and we'll just see what people think, and hopefully we'll get something out of it, if not just a great round of applause at the end of it.
Yeah, and that's good enough.
Our wonderful documentarian, as always, Magali Moreau, who shot the show's documentary, is now documenting once more, and she'll be taking pirating duties at the back of the cinema, filming the thing. So obviously when you get back home you can upload it and BitTorrent it and get people to download it and pirate our own films.
Andrew Mackay. Just in case you forget your name. Together we cover, as call ourselves AMR Entertainment. We both help out each other on our films, although we kind of branch up in our own little way as well. So Andrew produced mine and I helped produce his. Yeah, what would you?
Couple of things before we start. I know when I sent the press release out we said we'd be 6 till 7. In actual fact, we're 6:15 till 6:30 for this first film. There'll be a 10-15 minute break for fags and drinks and all that kind of stuff. And in Contour, the second film, will be shown next door in screen 3 at 6:50. So if you pile in a couple of minutes before, we'll do a call for that.
I'll never forget the time I watched Jackass and
It's the same.
Right.
They're actually... Are you recording?
Yeah. What's happening?
We've just come into screen 3 for my film, and apparently it's 4:3.
100% sure, because he set it up on screen. He said, "There's no way it's 16 by 9." He's like, absolutely sure. Do you want to start playing it 4 by 3 the way he thinks that it's been saved?
It's letterbox.
It's letterbox, so it's 16 by 9, but it's within a 4 by 3 frame.
Right, so it's going to be letterbox basically.
It will look like it's 16 by 9, but it's still formatted as 4 by 3, so it's black letterboxing.
Okay.
He's completely convinced.
All right.
So should we start with that, and then if you, I'll be standing about. If you're like, no, this is all totally wrong, we'll stop it.
No, because it is 16. There's no way. I edited it in 16:9 and everything.
I'll be standing at the back.
If you set it up at 16:9, will it just throw 16:9 anyway, and the black boxes will because it's exactly the same as Shortcut, exactly the same.
We've really got to start, otherwise we're going to run into our next feature. I just think it would be better to play it the way it's set. And if you think I'll be standing at the back. If you think that's not right, then just come and tell me, and we'll stop it again. Okay. All right.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
they've got a 4:3 screen and they're showing a 16:9 picture, which means there's going to be letterboxing and it's going to be a lot smaller. The projectionist reckons it's not 16:9, but it is, but we'll find out soon enough. So here we go. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for coming back to the second film. I was rather worried that some of you wouldn't. Hope you enjoyed the last film, by the way. And now for something completely different. I haven't really thought about what I'm going to say, to be quite honest, about this film, because this film is nothing like you've seen before, and I know everyone says that, but it is actually true this time. Visually, in an auditory sense, and particularly in the story and context sense. It does deal with issues that are very taboo. There's a lot of things being said in there that could be quite offensive, so please don't beat me up after you've seen it, for those of you who decide to stay the duration, which is 28 minutes. So apologies in advance, and for those of you who liked it, I'm glad you did, and I'll see you afterwards. Thanks very much.
Honey.
Don't touch me.
It's okay. Bad dream?
Yeah.
You're buzzed.
I forgot to like that anyway, so you're gonna have to do the practice. Tell me what you think of the film.
Oh, I was absolutely blown away by it, actually. I think it dealt with a lot of important issues. You can probably read them off, things like, paedophilia, murder, suicide, AIDS, domestic violence, all these different kind of issues. And I think the fact that it was done in the way, kind of in this experimental fashion, when they can get away with showing a lot more and making the audience feel quite comfortable with watching it, rather than obviously it was just shown in a normal fashion. It'd be a lot more difficult to do.
Watching the film, it did do your eyes in a little bit. Looking at the different colours and the way it was filmed. You know, you couldn't watch a long film in that style. I don't think. You know, you'd be rather dizzy at the end of it. But yeah, it was very, very impressive and very. You know, it is how you would picture somebody dreaming, really.
Kind of reminded me of the movie Scanner Darkly. I don't know if you remember that movie, but that was really good. So it's conceptually, the story was very good. So it's almost easy to forget that you're watching an experimental video rather than just a normal movie with a compelling storyline. So absolutely, it blew me away. It's a fantastic movie, really good.
I think I need to mull it over. It's very, very interesting for a short film. It's I don't think I've ever seen a short like this. And I also, like, about maybe 5 minutes in, I thought, oh, it's, you know, it's very different. It's shot differently. It's, you know, it's gonna. But I thought it was gonna start dragging, and at that point, it just picked up. Some really interesting themes, some sci-fi themes going on there. But I think my mind needs like maybe about half an hour to mull it over to really find out what I think about that.
I really like the fact that it was so sort of over the top grotesque. It could have gone even further, I thought, with the sort of blood spurting out of the man's head. And I like the way that matched up with the contouring technique. I thought the contouring was particularly beautiful with the sort of cityscapes, and the gas holders looked absolutely wonderful, and I really enjoyed that.
I thought the film was the idea behind the film was absolutely brilliant. The fact that paedophiles could actually die from sex with young people was a brilliant idea. The government should really look at this and bring something in that if a young child is molested by somebody older, that you know, they contract this sort of disease.
And yeah, I didn't quite get the script really, how that all sort of fitted together, but the fact that it was sort of grotesque and a bit off the wall, I thought you know, was the right thing to do with that sort of visual technique. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed it.
The style of the film was brilliant because it didn't actually portray any individual. It was done in a style that nobody could be recognised. So therefore it generalised everybody in the world, basically. The figures were fictitious and just generalised everybody.
I thought Andrew's film was really very interesting. What I liked about it most of all was its technique. It kind of reminded me of when computers were very, very rough and were not very slick, sort of like the very early 80s, and had a kind of like childlike quality to its kind of approach. I also liked the fact that it was kind of addressing AIDS, which is a bit of a forgotten subject in this day and age, but it was done in a very, very imaginative way. I thought it was really good.
I wouldn't say it was a great film. I wouldn't say it was a really bad film. I like the idea. I like the idea of strange dream states. I know from personal experience you're quite odd and surreal at that time. I like the effect of the film, because I like the way the film was done. I like the sound. I like the visuals.
I thought it was controversial from the point of view where it almost made up a second AIDS strain, which doesn't really exist. And I suppose a lot of people who probably suffer from that disease might find that a bit hard to deal with. But the fact that it was a very creative, imaginative film, you could kind of forgive that in a way.
Aim to shock. I think the aim was to shock deliberately rather than to be provoking or thought-provoking. So I think the idea was to shock rather than to shock and make you think about things. But all in all, I mean, I think some of the storyline is a bit fun. I mean, again, maybe it's supposed to follow the way that your mind is in that sort of situation. It was quite an interesting film.
I was really nervous, I suppose, just like Mark was beforehand, because my film has more weirder stuff going on. It's very strange. It's very offensive to some people. The broad-minded of the bunch probably laughed at it, which they did, which is fine. But a couple of people have taken offence to it and outrightly hated it.
I thought it was creative, but it went into too much detail. It was not what I imagined it would be. When he said explicit, I didn't think it would go that far in.
Which is good, because that's exactly what I want. I don't want people to come out of it and forget it the next day. People will, I hope, without sounding too wankily direct as film school, I hope people will remember this next year. Do you remember when we went to see that weird colour, what was it, contour colour, whatever that was, the one with a cock in it? Yeah, that's what I want. I want people to remember that film, and I think that's very important.
Okay, Andrew set out what he achieved to do, and that was shock people. He went far too far in regarding the explicit sexual scene in relation to children. I think it's appalling and disgusting.
Yeah, I think everyone thought it was a controversial film. It addressed issues that a lot of people don't like talking about, such as immunodeficiency, such as paedophilia, such as prostitution. I don't know if Clicks was a prostitute or not. But the only thing I'd say, it was fantastic at the beginning. I agree, it was slightly slow and then it picked up. But then it was a bit graphic. You don't know if it was necessary to be that graphic, because he was describing the sexual assault on the child quite well. So whether you needed an erect penis in it, I don't know. But maybe I'm just really prudish.
That's all I can say about the film, because that's all I can think of. And shocked, absolutely shocked. But he set up what he wanted. He did what he set out to do, and that was to shock people. And it's the most appalling piece of work I've seen of his. I haven't seen a lot, and I think Andy is very brave to do that, but no, I'm not happy at all, and my heart is beating and I'm shaking inside because I was so shocked. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
But I'm a medic, and I've never ever thought of the taking an immunocompromised person and mixing him or her up with someone who's so immune proficient. I don't think anyone's come across with that concept. I think that's fantastic for an art person to think about. That's it.
I think I like the idea that he begins with this, well, it's a dream. And so is it just kind of him waking up thinking, I've contracted, obviously something, like you say, if I just contracted something while sleep, I don't know.
He knows he's obviously sexually orientated in many ways, and he's probably having a nightmare that am I being punished now for it? Is this what's going to happen to me?
The nightmare is
what's going to happen to me? Because I am a paedophile, I have had underage sex without consent, or I might be sleeping with paid for sex or whatever. So what is my punishment? Have I got AIDS? Have I not? Am I going to die?
In the film they have, like his ex-girlfriend's supposed to, he was like, oh, I thought she was 18, whereas she was 12. They could have said, oh, you know, she was 15 or 14, but they did say 12, which is kind of like, yeah, very young for kind of like...
I actually wanted the ex-girlfriend to be 15, not 12. Okay, but of course Andrew had to push it because I think 15's bad enough, but I had to push it that extra notch to 12. And like I said, there is that one scene that I don't think is necessary in the film. But in terms of the piece, I actually like it because it's quite dark. It kind of reminds me of a kind of like a Twilight Zone or a Perversions of Science episode, although obviously that would never be shown on TV in the way it is currently. And it was nice to do something different. I'd watched films like Richard Linklater's Waking Life and Scanner Darkly, so I was into what he was trying to do in terms of something visually different. And as I said, the sort of satire of what he's talking about in the context of the movie is fine, but you know, I can understand if some people are a little bit shocked by bits and pieces in it.
Well, I thought it was certainly interesting, and I think a lot of people are probably going to say it was very interesting, but I thought it was fascinating how your mind generates images, and despite the images actually being distorted and the dialogue actually being distorted, you still had perfect images and you still followed the story absolutely perfectly. And yeah, I mean, there were some shocking bits in it, but you know, I don't think it was, certainly wasn't that bad that I felt, you know, the urge to get up and walk out. I thought, all in all, I thought it was certainly a new adventure and a new type of filming.
It's obviously quite, you know, there's a lot of controversial scenes, and I still don't know why he's still got the clicks on his hand when he wakes up. It's like, is it all a big twist, or is it, you know?
To be honest, the reason I've still got clicks written on my hand is we really ran out of time. The whole clicks thing on the hand is kind of one of those sort of in-film joke red herrings. Oh, was it really a dream? But the honest truth is we didn't actually have time for me to go and wash it off, get ink remover and wash it off. It's the truth of the matter, but it's one of those things. The fact that you've asked me about that means it probably works. So, you know.
I think people will remember it because of its absurdity, because it's totally absurd. And the response that I'm getting, I couldn't have asked for more. Some people love it, some people praise me, some people hate it, and I love that polarisation. That's exactly what I'm after. So in my opinion, and in my humble opinion, the film's a success.
But hat off to him, he's done it, and hey, it's actually having it screened at cinema, so, you know, that's great.